Hey VC, how's it going? Got a bit of a mixed bag to show you, so this is what I'm listening to. Music for Air Cooled Motoring by Australian Testing Labs Inc. I didn't know anything about this when I bought it, just bought it on a whim basically. Thought the cover looked nice, which I'm sure you'll agree. And the blurb about it basically described it as being sort of krautrock influence, that sort of thing. So yeah, it wasn't too expensive. I think limited to 300 copies on orange vinyl. Would much rather prefer black, but you know, no choice there. But yeah, very good. Right, okay. This is something that arrived in the post earlier this week. This is James Tatum Contemporary Jazz Mass. Yeah, on the Jazzman label. I have a lot of stuff on Jazzman, but mainly 45s, not much in the way of albums. But yeah, this is fantastic. It sounds great. It's lovely pressing. Spiritual jazz is your thing. Definitely worth picking up. This is the original recording from I think 71, 72, that sort of period. Yeah, a beautiful record. Can't recommend this highly enough. Okay. I mentioned in my last video that there's not too many compilations shown in the VC. Well, here's another one. This is yeah, this is obviously on the Numero label. That distinctive style, design. After School Special, the 1, 2, 3s of Kid Soul. Yeah, this is basically a collection of releases on various sort of small regional labels from the 60s and early 70s. And it's all recordings of children basically making music, so a lot of that sort of Jackson 5 soul sound on there, but also a good chunk of it is I suppose got that James Brown influence, that sort of funk, which is more my thing really. But yeah, really nice collection. There's a really good version of The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, obviously sung by a little kid. I mean, the kid must be 10 or 11, the kid that's singing. It's quite sweet really, but yeah, a nice cover. Not an album that you're going to listen to all the time, but it's certainly something nice to dip into now and again. Right, okay, a couple of weeks ago I had to go down to Cambridge with work, so while I was there I thought I'd check out a couple of shops. Of course, there's a market in the centre of Cambridge, and there's a record stall on that market, so picked up a couple of bits. This is Big Youth Dreadlocks Dread. 1975, original UK press on Click. Obviously a very famous DJ reggae album. Not one that I've ever owned, whether it be on vinyl or CD. I've just had a few of the tracks on various compilations. But yeah, this sounds great. It is a great album from start to finish. Albeit when I got home, the first thing I did was put on the first track on side 2, which is Marcus Garvey Dread. Just cranked up the volume and it just sounded absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Big Youth toasting over that very famous Marcus Garvey rhythm. Yeah, fantastic. Right, okay, something else. Kyoto by Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Now, I'll be honest, this is an album that I've ever come across before. I have other Art Blakey records, of course, but I've never come across this particular one. Such a distinctive design as well. This is 1968 on Riverside. To be honest, I don't think this record has ever been played. Certainly be surprised if it ever had been. Absolutely in pristine condition. But yeah, it's hard bop in style. A lovely record. But yeah, look at that sleeve. Yeah, Kyoto, incidentally, is a fantastic place to buy records. I think there's about 20 stores in about a mile radius. Yeah, incredible. Right, okay, this is a reissue that came out a few weeks ago. Paul Weller, Wildwood. Now, I've said before how much I like Paul Weller. I know a lot of people in the VC really don't like Paul Weller. He's really quite divisive, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, this album came out, say, 1993. I've listened to this album as much as any album I expect. Basically, the end of the 80s, the Style Council lost their record deal. I think Paul Weller was a little bit in no man's land until he got this record out. His debut solo album in came out, I think, 1991 on Go Discs. And this is a great album. I loved this album when it came out. Very, you know, usual Weller sound, but it had a real acid jazz feel to it as well. Produced by Brendan Lynch, who produced the Young Disciples, a massive hit with Apparently Nothing, you know, Carlin Anderson. Yeah, so that's where that sort of acid jazz influence comes in. So there's a lot of flutes, a lot of vibes, that sort of thing. Yeah, and this is a great album. So by the time this came out, I was really quite excited about this, and I saw him quite a few times on this tour. He had a great band with him, but the album, you know, great songwriting. Yeah, and really nicely done. So this is the first time it's been reissued on vinyl. I've never had a vinyl copy before, it's always been too expensive. But yeah, that's the one thing I'll say about these reissues actually. I picked this one up a bit cheaper than the standard price. I got in there early, got a discount on it. But these Weller reissues are coming out about 35 quid a pop. I mean, that's steep for a reissue. But yeah, but albeit so well done. Yeah, but that's a great album. Okay, now this is a new album that came out in 2016. This is Kaja Bonet, The Visitor. I heard a track by her in, I think it was on a Giles Peterson show called Remember the Rain. Yeah, the feel of it was very Minnie Riperton, you know, lovely strings on it, a very distinctive voice. So when the album came out, I mean that track isn't actually on this album, but when the album came out I had to pick it up. Yeah, as I say, distinctive vocal, 8 tracks, got a nice version of Portrait of Tracy, the Jaco Pastorius tune on here as well. Definitely recommend this. I might try and put a link on YouTube at the bottom of the page so you can check it out, but this was a limited release of a sort of greeny coloured vinyl. It's a Rough Trade exclusive, but yeah, very nice. But yeah, definitely recommend it. Right, a couple of reissues. Right, I got this cheap from HMV before Christmas, Nirvana in Utero. I bought this when it came out on cassette. I don't know where I was, but I bought it so I could listen to it on my Walkman. That's obviously long gone. Since then I bought a hooky Chinese bootleg of it, which was a bit bizarre. Sounded alright, but a bit bizarre. So I've never had it on vinyl before. Whenever I see original copies of this, they're always quite expensive and never in great condition, so I've gone with the reissue. I say this was less than a tenner. Sounds great as well. I played this again last night actually, and yeah, it's a really good sound, really well done, so quite happy with the reissue. But yeah, most people know that. Another reissue, this is Massive Attack Mezzanine. This came out I think 97, 98, something like that, didn't it? I love those first few Massive Attack records. This incidentally isn't as good as the two that came before it, Blue Lines and Protection, but still a great album. Yeah, double vinyl, and again a really nice sounding reissue. Right, one more reissue. Apologies to anybody that doesn't like reissues, but I don't have any bother with that. You know, it's as long as the record sounds good, that's all I'm after. You know, so this is Sonic Youth Washing Machine, double vinyl, Geffen Records. I think this is a music and vinyl, so reissue. I'll be honest, I'd never heard this record before. Picked it up just before Christmas, I think. I've got other Sonic Youth records, most of which I enjoyed, but I've never ever heard this record before. So it was nice to sit down with a decent copy of it, sit on a decent stereo, and just listen to it from start to finish. And I've got to say, you know, I'm probably about 25 years too late on this, but I thought it was great, and probably of the stuff that I've heard, I'd say is their best record, you know, so yeah, great. But yeah, as I say, 25 years too late. Right, a couple of cheap soul things. Whenever I see any Temptations albums from the 1970s, I always pick them up. This is Do the Temptations. This is their last album for Motown. I think this came out in 76. Yeah, 76. They later rejoined Motown, but I think they had a bit of a falling out. This is a nice record, not as good as the early 70s stuff that they did with Norman Whitfield, but still, yeah, still a nice record. And finally, one of the cheapie, Creative Source, Migration. This is on the Sussex label. I do quite like the Sussex label actually, you know, so obviously Bill Withers and Dennis Coffey and people like that. But yeah, this has got a nice Bill Withers cover actually. It's got a version of Harlem on it. But yeah, Only a couple of quid, but pleased to have picked it up. Cheers.